All right. Let's give some people some time to get in the room. All right. Tonight is day 8. Day 8. Just giving some people some time to come in the room. And we're going to get to it. It's going to be a good night tonight. Going to be a real good night tonight. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? Let's do it. Day 8. I said I was gonna get through my consecutive 30 days of going live, and I'm gonna stick to that. Right? I suggest you do the same when you set out to do something. Keep that promise to yourself and fulfill that promise. Do what you say you're gonna do. I said I was gonna do it. Did I feel like doing it? I have to be honest. I had a lot going on today, and I'm moving around a lot today. I kind of wanted to skip out, but I can't do that to myself. I can't cheat myself like that. I said I was going to do a thing, so I have to complete the task and get it done. So here we are, day 8. I feel good. I got good energy. Tonight we're going to talk about how do we evaluate land, right? How do we evaluate every deal that comes in our circumference, whether that's a deal that's for our personal, or if that's a deal from one of our community members, whether that's a small deal or whether that's a big deal. We evaluate all of these land deals the same exact way. And we suggest you do the same thing before purchasing. This is something that we teach. This strategy, this is what we use to buy land. So if you have notes, take notes. Feel free to comment. I like comment. I like engagement. That helps me. It makes it a little fun for me. So feel free to engage with this conversation. This probably will be an extended conversation because now we're going to teach about step by step. We're going to dig into the steps and for you to understand. It's one thing to see it, but I want you to understand what you're looking at. I'm going to show some images on the screen and things like that. And I want you to understand exactly what it is that you're looking at. So without further ado, I'm Ray, one half of the Acre Boyzz. I'm on day 8. Acre Boyzz are active land investors. Current date, we have invested in over 500 plus properties. We came to social over 2 years ago, and we started teaching this to others that look like us and whomever was a good fit for our community and vice versa. Up to date, we've helped a lot of people, a lot of people. Social allows us to spread this word expeditiously and fast across a large platform. So the word is getting out there, and that's ultimately our goal, is to get the word out there that these same practices, these same auctions, these same land deals, half of America, 47% of it is vacant and undeveloped, that you can participate in these things too. You don't need a license. You don't have to be a licensed realtor to be labeled as an investor and go out and buy some land. All right. So without further ado, as I stated, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. Last but not least, before I start, because once I start, we're going to get on a roll. Masterclass is this Thursday. So if you're on Facebook or Instagram, comment the word masterclass, and that'll get you a link to get you in the room where we break down everything that we do from start to finish. That's going down this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're on YouTube, you can comment the word masterclass too, and my team will have to manually send you a link to get you going. All right. So comment the word masterclass if you want to attend our complimentary training call this Thursday. Okay, let's work. How do we evaluate land? We evaluate land by using the acronyms FACTS, F-A-A-C-T-S. Every deal that comes in our ecosystem, it goes through the FACT Check. So let's break down what the fact check is and how do we apply these things and how we use this in real time. So as you can see here, here's a property that came in to our ecosystem. This is a 2-acre property, a 2.5 acre property. The backstory to this is someone called in and they wanted to sell their property. This was the property. This actually came in a week ago. This was the property. So we had to do some homework on it to see if this was a good buy for us. So we have to run through the facts. Feel free to comment. Feel free to comment of what you see. Like if you was inside of my community, I would say, what are you seeing? Think fast. Good piece, bad piece. What's the first things that we do? But I'm going to take you through the steps. So here's the piece of land. In the facts, what we check off is the F first. F stands for floodplain, right? Floodplain is what the F stands for. That's what we want to check. Does it have floodplain on it? As you see in this image, we have to go image by image because we don't have a video tutorial to do it. So I'll show you the next image. Inside of our systems that we use, we're able to pull up a FEMA floodplain map that will show us if this property falls in a flood zone. After I click on to the FEMA floodplain map, what do you see? That highlighted green area represents what's in a FEMA floodplain map. So our property, our 2-acre, 2.5 acre that someone wants to sell us, it sits where? It sits slap dab in the middle of a floodplain. Is that a good deal so far? Is that not a good deal? Is this a bad thing? Talk to me. Drop it in the comments. You're gonna help me evaluate it. All right. Is this good or is this bad? It sits slap dab in the middle of a floodplain. Now, being that this property is slap dab in a floodplain, new investors tend to think that's no good, right? And I once thought that way too. But I'm here to tell you that we don't know if it's good or not unless you look around. Too bad I can't toggle the screen and look all the way around at what's inside of the floodplain. But if I could toggle the screen for you on this live, I would move around to see if any properties, any other properties sat in a floodplain. Because if they did sit in a floodplain, and other properties was there, this may be okay to move forward with, or at least to continue to do some homework on. All it means that if a property is in a floodplain is that if you were to buy it and you were to build on it, you would have to get flood insurance. All right. That's what that means. Next, the F also represents wetlands. Is the property wet? We need to know if the property is wet. All right. That's key. That's one of the most important things that you want to establish. Is the property wet? I pulled up. We have something in our tools that we use that lets us see wetlands. And once I pull it up, this is what wetlands look like. Now, this 2.5 acre property that he wants to sell us, I had a phone call with him today. I tried to record the call, but I couldn't get to my camera fast enough. And the conversation went like this. No, I wouldn't be interested in this particular property because the whole property is what? As you can see on the screen. This property is what? The whole property is wet. Can't do nothing with wet property, wetlands, right? There is a time in certain instances that it may be okay to buy wetlands, right? That's maybe a hunting piece of property or a larger property where a portion of it is wet. This is case by case. Each property offers something different. In this case, this is completely a no-go. I don't want it wet. And as you can see here, we'll keep moving. Then I'll explain to you exactly why I don't want it wet. If this was me telling you about this property, I would quickly say, don't buy it, forget about it. We would stop evaluating it. The whole property is wet. All right. So that's the F. The next thing that we need to look at is the A. The A stands for access. We can clearly see right here. What does access cover? Access cover, how can you get to the property? Is there legal access to the property? And is there physical access to the property? You need to have both physical access and legal access to the property. In this case, anytime you see a named road like this, most of the time this is going to be a county road. In certain areas, in rural parts of America, usually on a dirt road or something like that, that could be a private road. But most of the time, for new investors, the places that you will be looking at land at, it's going to be a county road if it has a name on it. This is a county road that gives us legal access and physical access directly into our property. So it passes that, the access point, right? Now, if it was this parcel or piece of land that sat behind it, I can't toggle the screen to show you, that will be considered a landlocked property. We don't want to deal with landlocked properties, especially for new people. Just stay away from landlocked properties. That's a whole nother conversation if we had to get into if it's a good idea to buy landlocked property or not. I would suggest to new people, move on to another deal. All right. So that's the A. The other A in the facts is adjacent. Now let's pull back up my wetlands map and let's look at adjacent. Adjacent simply stands for what's next to the property, what's across the street from the property, what's to the east of it, what's to the west of it, what's to the south of it. As you can see in this image, we only have the image to work with, so I can't toggle the screen. To the west, southwest is a house. What does that say to us? That says that this property directly next to it is probably going to be suitable for building the same type of thing that's been done. Typically, when you're buying, you're going to do something similar to what has already been done in the area. So a house has been placed here. This is zoned residential. So if this was not wet, you would be able to duplicate what they have done here by putting a structure on a house. It passes that test, passes adjacent test. Great, cool, right? Then the C in this whole equation stands for comps. We need to know, what is the property worth? What is the area doing as far as price, right? Is this a good deal for us to buy? Although this piece that we're doing this illustration on fails the test because of the wetlands, if this passed the wetlands test, we would go and research how much this area is going for, right? To pull comps, we use things like Zillow. It's a free tool. If you know how to use Zillow, and if you're not in a non-disclosure state, what's a non-disclosure state? A non-disclosure state is a state that doesn't have to report the sales of their property once they're sold. It's a non-disclosure state. They don't have to report it. So Zillow won't show you non-disclosure state or sold comps. They still will show you properties that's currently on the market for sale. So we would look at both. And in our evaluation, if I'm dealing in an area that has homes or residential homes, or if it's a lot that we're going to be selling as a buildable lot, I look up both home comps and land comps, not just one. I want to see what the whole entire area is doing, because land follows homes. So if I'm in an area and I start seeing comps of homes and they're like under 50,000, I don't play in those areas. If houses are only selling for 50, 60, 70,000, I don't want it. I don't want the land in that area. Because if it's a residential area, builders are not coming to build in an area where houses are only selling for 60, 70, 80,000. Not the builders that I want to sell land to. I look for areas that houses are selling for 250, 300, 350. And then if you get a good piece of land in those areas, it's more attractive to a builder. All right? If that makes sense. Now, if you got the land cheap enough, you may want to take a gamble if it's a residential lot. I have done them in my time and I have got rid of them, but these days I'm looking for those kind of house comps 250, 300, 350 and above. All right. So comps, we need to know what the area is doing. We need to know what properties have sold for. The strongest comp you can get is a sold comp within a 1 to 3 mile radius of your property. I try to get a comp as close as I can to the land that we're looking at buyer because that's going to be a stronger comp. In many areas, comps jump from number and place to place. One side of the town could be going for 200,000. The other side of the town in the same zip code could be going for 75,000. A lot of new investors get confused with that because they're playing in the same zip code, but the zip code changes from east to west or north to south. So they see the numbers jump and it confuses them. So try to get a comp that's closest to your property that you're working with. I hope that makes sense. All right, feel free to chime in if you have questions or anything like that. Once again, comment masterclass to join our Thursday class to where we break down everything that we do from start to finish. Get yourself in that room. Come and see everything that we've been talking about. Everything I'm talking about every day on these lives. Come sit down with us for a good hour, hour and 15 minutes and see exactly what it is that we do. All right, back to this. So that's the comps. Then we need to look at if this was a larger piece. Well, the T stands for topography. And as you can see here, this is what it's covered in timber. What kind of timber? I wouldn't know that, right? Unless I had an image that was showing me the timber, all right? Because depending on what kind of timber, that could increase or decrease the price on a deal. All right, we're not going to get into timber talk, but depending on what kind of timber is on the property, that could increase or decrease the value of the land. All right, but the T stands for topography, and this is covered in timber. All right, if there was no timber, then the topography would just be bare land. All right, then next, the S in this equation stands for slope. How do we look at slope? Let me go back. I want to go back because I want to point out something else that I'm sure you didn't notice. So if you look on the screen, if you see right here, as I had it in my illustration, you'll see it playing. How can I, let me see, can I go back? You see me pointing at this line that's running across the front of this property. I'll pause it. What does that line represent? What is it? What is that line? Right? Anytime we see this now, this is you got to have a trained eye, have a little experience under your belt to know what that is. I know what it is just by looking at this screen right here. This is going to be more than likely, this is going to be an electric line easement. I don't like electric line easements that run through my property unless I had, large acreage and the property is big enough that this doesn't affect anything. In this case, we have a 2.5 acre and this electric line easement is running right in the front of it. Um, that devalues this deal, right? Let's look at what it would look like. As you see, I'm gonna go straight to the property. We'll go to the property and I'll show you what an electric line easement looks like coming up now. So here's our property where you see the yellow pin. That's our property. These numbers represent GPS coordinates. GPS coordinates allow us to go straight to our property. As you see that line that's in front, we'll drop down in front of that line and you'll get a chance to see what an electric line easement looks like. And there's your electric line easement. It runs straight through your property. Now, I'll pause. Now, the thing about electric line easements, if I go back here, it's right in front of the property. This is taking away the access. You can't build under an electric line easement. You can walk over it, you can put something on top of it, but it can't be a permanent structure. All right. That's why I don't like electric line easements at the front of the property. You can't build on them and you can't leave a permanent structure on an electric line easement. You have to leave access for the electric company to, at any time that they feel like it, to come through there and access the electric lines. Okay. So you'll see here, if we zoom in, how do I know it's an electric line easement? For one, you see the pole there. And as I adjust the screen, you'll see here electric line easements running down through the property. And that's what an electric line easement looks like. So that's a huge deterrent for us. All right. Then next we have the topography. We covered that. Then let's go to the last thing is slope. Slope really plays a major factor when we're dealing with large acreage. This is a small property, but if I stop it right there, you'll see even on a small property, you can see that this has some slope going on to it. It starts low, then it comes up, it gets high, and then it drops back down. So we really are concerned with slope on larger acreage, right? We don't, with small properties, we're looking for big drop offs, right? We don't want this to drop all the way off. That would indicate that there's a hole in the property or something like that, and that's a red flag. To smooth out this property, you would have to do something called grading. Grading would be something that is done to get the property level and ready for a structure to be placed on it. All right. We're going kind of deep. I don't want to lose you with some of the terminology. I'm going to just keep it really simple, but that's slope. All right. That's what you would be looking for if you were dealing with a larger property slope. You want to make sure you don't have any big drop offs and things like that. And it's not too slopey. If it is too slopey, it may kill a deal or it may not kill a deal. Or it may be a negotiating point to get the price down some. It just depends on the property. It just depends on the area. It depends on the use of the property. It depends, can we find maybe a flat spot for a structure? Each property is case by case, is what. Back to the stage, remove that. So we ran through the facts. That is the facts, how we evaluate each and every property. And as I stated, once you know this, once you have this, this is something that we teach. In fact, this is one of the very first few things that we teach. We teach you how to go through the facts, whether you're going tax deed investing, whether you're going direct to owner, whether that's a small piece of property, whether that's a large piece of property. You must run through the facts and make sure everything is checking off. I don't expect new people to have the same kind of eye that I may have when evaluating these things, because it took a lot of deals for me to get to this point. So this really works. And it's like a guide, like a map to just keep you on track, to make sure that you're not buying something ultimately that's a no-go, right? So don't skip out on using the facts when evaluating property. You don't have to be in my community to use that, but it is a good recipe to evaluate property. You want to make sure those things, especially that you cover wetlands. You don't want to be going and buying. The biggest two things that you should be concerned with if you're doing tax deed investing is avoid landlocked properties and avoid properties that's wet. All right. Stay away from landlocked properties and stay away from properties that's wet. It's going to be really, really tough to get rid of them, if you can get rid of them. There's only two reasons that we find that land doesn't sell. One, something's wrong with the property. Two, it's priced too high. Those are the top two reasons that we find that land doesn't sell. So we can get in front of the first one, something's wrong with it by evaluating it the correct way. This is why when people we get hit a lot, people just so quick to want to just say, I want to buy land, I want to do this with the land, I have all these plans for the land. First, learn how to evaluate the land to make sure it's suitable to what you're trying to do and that it fits your needs. This is vital. Like, I understand you want to buy, but know what you're doing when you're buying. Because if you don't know, it is not the job of the person you're buying it from. It's not their job to protect you and tell you what to check. It's your job to know what you're buying. And I say this all the time, even when I'm selling land. And we're good guys, to be honest. I want to help somebody. And I tell them, do your due diligence before buying. Make sure it fits your needs. Because I don't want people coming back to me and saying it's not what I thought it would be. Go do 1,000% of your due diligence. And if it checks out for you and it fits your needs, then we can move forward and get a deal done. All right. So that's our live for tonight. We got through it faster than I thought that we would get through it. We could spend more time on it, but due to this system, I can't really give a lot of illustrations like I would like to give. I hope that was helpful. I thought by me bringing some images for you to see, that would help a little bit more, seeing the images as opposed to me just speaking about it. So that is day 8 of 30. All right. Day 8 of 30. We'll be back tomorrow. Not sure what the topic will be, but I'll come up with something that I think is helpful for you to use. Comment the word masterclass to join us this Thursday on our masterclass, where we'll be breaking down from step A all the way to Z on how we buy land at deep discounted prices. That's what the whole entire topic is going to be about, how we buy land at discounted prices. If any of this resonated with you tonight, you know what you need to do. Text 1-877-250-7778. That's if you're ready to get started. If you're on the fence, get yourself some more information and make a decision. The biggest thing that we could do is make a decision. Stop straddling the fence. Find some more information. There's plenty information about what we do on all platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. All right. Book a call if you're ready to get started. All right. So good night. We'll be back tomorrow, day 8. I got 22 more days. 22 more days. Y'all root for me. I could get through it. I will get through it. And I'll tap back in with y'all tomorrow.